Alright, so in this video, I'm going to go over some tips and tricks for Mini Project 4. The first thing that I'm going to go over is compound interest. Okay, so let's say you have a scenario where you want to have $100,000 after 30 years in an account with an APR of 5%. Oops, let's do 3%. Make that a little nicer looking. 3%, and it compounds monthly. Okay. So in this scenario, the question is asking us, how much do we need to deposit today in order to have $100,000 in the account after 30 years with an APR of 3% that compounds monthly? So if we take our formula, which I'll write it, our compound interest formula. Okay, so we know A, we know APR, we know N, and we know Y. What we're solving for here is P. So let's plug in the values that we know. We know we want $100,000. We don't know P, but we have our APR over N to the 12 times 30. Okay, so what I would do for this problem is we're going to end up solving for P. So what I would do is I would write this all out, and I would put this portion here, the 1 plus 0.03 over 12 to the 12 times 30 in my calculator, and round to 6 decimal places like my math lab is having you do. So I'm going to put 1 plus 0.03 divided by 12 raised to the 360. Okay, and this comes out to be 2.457. Okay, in order to solve for how much I need to make, you could guess and check. You could plug in numbers for P, multiply it by 2.457, and see if it comes out to 100,000. Or mathematically, what we're doing here is, since these two are being multiplied together, divide both sides by 2.457. Okay, so I'm going to take 100,000 divided by 2.457 to get 40,700, and we usually round to the cents. Okay, so this would be $40,700.04. So that's what I would need to put in today to have $100,000 in my account after 30 years of not touching it, that has an APR of 3% that's compounded monthly. Okay, the next question that you might need some help with is, let's say you have a balance of $100,000 in an account and you want to withdraw the interest every month. So essentially what this is saying is, we have an account that has $100,000 that has an APR of 3%, but you want to withdraw that interest every month. Okay, so what we would do here is we would take our balance of the account to figure out how much interest we earn in 1 month. Okay, so what we would do is we would take our APR and divide it by 12, and we're taking that off of, or we want to know how much that makes on our $100,000. Okay, so in this case, we would take 100,000.03 divided by 12 times 100,000, which would give us $250. So if you have an account that has $100,000 that has an APR of 3% and you're withdrawing the monthly interest, you find out how much is interest being accrued per month. So you take your APR and divide it by 12 for how many months, and then you multiply that by your balance. So you would withdraw $250. Okay, so the next month there would be $100,000. It would earn $250. You'd withdraw it real quick, and then you'd have $100,000 that this is compounding off of. You will also use this to determine, there's a question about, let's say you wanted to earn, let's say $800 every month, with that same scenario in terms of how much money you have. So let me do another slide. So there will be something, let's say we have $100,000 and we want the account to accrue $200 each month, and it's going to ask you for the percentage so that you can determine what interest rate is needed. And so in this case, we wouldn't know the interest rate, but we know that we're taking it out monthly, and we want our payment amount to be $200. Okay, So what you would do in this case is that you would take the, oh, and we still have the 100,000 in there. Okay, so we would take, depends on how you want to do this. I'd probably divide 100,000 by 12 to get 8,333.3 repeating times question mark equal to 200, and then divide both sides by 8,333.3. And I get 0.024. So that's the rate as a decimal. To make it into a percentage, multiply by 100%. So we would want an interest rate of 2.4% in order to withdraw monthly interest payments of $200. Okay. I think as I'm looking at your mini project here on my other screen, the cash flow problem we did, just pay attention to how often and make sure that you get it in terms of month. When it's talking about the buying a car, remember that what you're putting towards the down payment, you don't take out a loan on. So for instance, if you're buying a $50,000 car and putting down $20,000, your loan amount would be $30,000, not $50,000. Okay. And it has you calculate similar questions that were in the lecture and with the homework. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to your group mates.